Hey, how's it going, all you lovely people at Door Shutter coming back to you with a brand new episode of All the Mods 9. Today is episode 67, and right before I started recording this, I realized I wasn't having any game audio, and I completely and utterly blame Logitech because their software updated when I started my computer, and of course that breaks everything every single time. Genuinely, I love Logitech products, but goodness gracious, stop updating things that cause every bit of my audio to break. I didn't even realize I had game audio for the first like 30 minutes of me messing around with the SkySteel production thing that I just did because yeah, I just thought, hey, it was probably quiet. I've muted so many things. We'll get over it. No, it's just because Logitech broke everything, and I completely and utterly blame them. All right, anyway, enough with me ranting about Logitech products. Let's get into this. So I've got the pattern provider set up for SkySteel. I actually went ahead and I've already allowed for this to make 64 SkySteel ingots, and of course I did 6 last episode, I believe, just kind of goofing around and showing you guys the process. And so we are good on SkySteel, and of course I could just throw in 64 more, and over time this would start crafting. So one of the things I want to make is the universal press piece. I think this would be very, very useful just because then that way we basically don't have to make sure anything goes specifically somewhere, if that makes sense. So, to explain that better, if I had to make a lot of engineering processors, if I had to make 128 of these, but I don't have to make any other processors, basically all 4 of these universal presses could be used at the same time to make more stacks of these engineering processors, right? I will get into what I mean 100% here in a second, but I do need to break down some more mysterious cubes to be able to actually craft a couple of these. And I think we're only crafting 1 per, which is excessive. Like that's a lot of materials just to 2 of those. But let's go downstairs to our AE2 processing area. This stuff right here. So right now we have. Oh, where's it at? Is it these ones? So this Inscriber does Inscriber Energy Press. Can we do that even? So we can't do that, which is kind of upsetting. Huh. I'm kind of wondering if we could like add this recipe because that'd be pretty nifty. But yeah, this one up here is the one I'm thinking about. So we've got the silicone press, and we've got the logic press, and we've got the calculation press, the engineering press. So we have all 4 of these up in this inscriber. But if I fill the universal press with all of these, the 4 slots we have here, then basically anything that's inserted into this machine will go into these slots. So it'll make things a little bit quicker. And my thought process on this to make this actually a little bit more effective is to potentially just get a ton of these, like 2 or 3 of these machines, and kind of just factory them. Let's go. So we have silicone. I'm kind of just trying to think of how many I want to do here. So let's just do this many. And we can just do this. Instead of just wasting all of those, because that's what I just accidentally did. I didn't realize there was an easier recipe. But we can just toss these in here. And we'll basically be able to make a whole bunch of these. And my thought process is if we have the ability to do multiple machines, we can kind of prevent a buffer, like a filling up of a machine. Because if I do make like 1,000 engineering processors or calculation processors all at once, and it were to fill up a machine, then it would technically backlog everything else. So if we had like 3 or 4 of these machines, we wouldn't have to worry about that. So that should give us access to 4. So let's take this wall down. And let's refactor this. So I'm hoping I can actually put these in here. I can. Okay. So let's break that. And I did not mean to break the pattern provider, but I want to move the pattern provider back. And then I want to grab... So there's 2, but I want to grab 2 more. And I know this thing worked pretty well just sitting there, but we'll see if we can make it a little bit more effective with pipes. I just don't know how I'm going to export back out of this. Laser nodes? I think laser nodes might make it a little bit less convenient, but I think that might work. We don't really have any other way to like transport items in and then also export them. So, okay, so there's 1. Let's also increase this to stack to 64. Okay. So I'm just going to scroll on these. And we're going to do acceleration cards. Okay, so with those set, what we should be able to do now is we can actually move this cable to that. And then we can grab laser nodes. We're just going to grab a decent chunk of... I guess we could technically do modular routers. Do we want to try modular routers first? Instead of just doing this complicated mess? Okay, so we're going to need a distributor module, which is right here, to be able to... Let's get rid of these here real quick. So we're going to need to be able to push into the back of these. And remember, of course, we're clicking on the back side of the machine. So this would be transfer out of the router into this. And we're going to whitelist the gold Certus quartz. That's charged Certus quartz. We don't want that. We want just normal Certus quartz crystals. And then silicon, whatever you want to call it. And diamonds. So we're just going to be doing that. So this is transfer out of the router. So this would definitely be what we want. Okay. So here... So see how that's functioning. So the next portion of this, and we could actually probably push this back, but it doesn't really matter, is to grab another one of these to then pull out. And we're going to just blacklist these 4 materials. We're going to transfer into the router. And we're just going to do that. And then we just need a sender module to go to the bottom. Okay. And also these guys don't have power in any capacity. So what we can do there is probably just this. Right? That should power all of them. Why are you not pulling? You gave me a pain. Let's just clear this card once more. You know what? Let's actually try from the front. And let's also make sure we're transferring into router. And we have speed upgrades, stack upgrades, all that fun stuff. Okay. And there's no priority or rhyme or reason to any of these. It just sends whatever it needs to. Which is exactly what we want. And we may want to just grab like a stack augment. The only issue I see is, of course, if we're actually pulling as of current. But I think if we make sure that this thing is sending and pulling and pushing everything when it should, like full stacks, we should be golden. And we are going to move on a couple other things. The Inscriber accumulation press, which I don't think there's actually a universal one of these. I wish there were, but there's not. So let's get this recipe coded. I think we can just do that. Yeah, let's go for that. So Inscriber. We'll need some acceleration cards. And then we're also going to need pattern provider. And then a pattern for this. And some cable. Did I grab cable? No, I just misclicked it. Okay. Alright, so we're just going to set this up right here. So we're just going to do this. We're going to then do that. Inscriber. That plus that. Auto export. Input stack size. And we should be able to now do at megacells. Should be able to craft some of these printed accumulation. I forgot. I need to get rid of that. I also completely forgot to grab it out of that. So we can just go in here and look for that inscriber. So this one right here. And we can clear this out and just call that good. So that should be just inscriber. Place that there. Go for it one more time. And this thing should be off to the races. Okay, so now what we can do is we can get the inscriber, the next inscriber piece, and we can get the crafting coprocessors. There's also energy upgrades. That might not be a bad idea to look at either. Mega interface. I actually don't know the difference between the mega interface, the extended ME interface, and the normal ME interface. So we may take a look at those, but we're looking for the crafting coprocessors. Decompression module. And there's no guide for this. Like the Ponder like AE has. So that's something else to think about. I think if we actually go in here. So there's a extended. So I don't think, I was just curious if anything's been put in here. Does not look like it. Okay, let me look up mega cells real quick. Okay, so there's very limited information on mega cells. There's some, but there's just not a whole lot. And that is not great, but that's okay. Okay, so I've got the accumulation processor set up. So all we're going to need to do is just auto-craft it. Everything should cycle, and we should have an accumulation processor in a few seconds. Not too long. So it looks like we maybe have an issue downstairs. Nope, there it is. Just takes a second. Oh, did I forget the acceleration cards? That's what I did. There's a lot of good options in here. Some of them I'm not sure. I think like the decompression module I don't fully understand. But I know we can actually use bulk item storage cells to compress stuff. So I'm kind of wondering if there's, like, you could use this, the bulk item storage cell, and partition this to be like iron, and then have it compress. Like, I'm not sure if I understand that correctly. But what we're here for is the crafting coprocessor. So let's actually grab the crafting coprocessor, which is going to be a crafting unit, which we'll just do crafting for. I also want to look at a mega interface. And I also want to look at the mega pattern provider just for the future, just in case we need it. And of course, there's a whole bunch of fluid. There's mana. There is chemical storage, source storage, a whole bunch of goodies like that. And of course, you got the flat panel pattern provider and interface. You got the mass amounts of storage components, basically. The radioactive cell. So there's good stuff in here, especially because you got like the 1M, 4M, 16M crafting storages. These are excessive. We're probably never going to need those. But we're going to look at this here. So let's grab all these and put them in the bottom. So what I want to first just start making immediately is 4 of these. And I also want to make 1 of these guys, which I probably could just do myself. But yeah, I'll be back when these are done crafting. Shouldn't take too long. Okay, not long at all. So the ME Mega Interface is just 2 rows. So my question with the interface here is it better than this one? First off, I already enjoyed the design of this one because it's one page. Um, is there anything else it can have? So crafting card and fuzzy card. This can have an induction card, which means that it can actually accept applied flux. The applied flux mod is what I think that's from, right? Induction card, yes. So this one cannot support applied flux, which is okay. I mean, I really don't expect every mod to be compatible with every other mod. So it looks like that's the biggest difference. So the real test would be if I were to just put this here, this here. Yeah, I think they're about both the exact same speed. One's just 2 pages, the other one's just 1. One has applied flux capability, the other one doesn't. Okay. I just wanted to see if there was any major differences. You got no speed upgrades, you got nothing like that. So nothing too fancy. So, crafting co-processors. There's only 2 of these in the pack, right? The default one and the non-default one. Alrighty, so after a little bit, we've got the crafting coprocessors set up here. These are, I hope, going to be decent enough. And I think the way AE2 prioritizes crafting, by the way, is like the smaller recipes are going to be like sent automatically to these because they have less actual bytes per unit. These 4 here, while the other ones are massive. I don't think it really matters. I probably could have just made all of them like this, but these having 40, because they have 10 units on each of these sides, is 40 co-processors, while these only have the 5. Yep, 3, 5. So that is 4. So these have 20 each, while these have 40 each. So that's pretty cool. I kind of tested it. The only problem I'm having, of course, is the kind of inscribers and stuff down here. These are slow. I did replace these with the extended inscribers because they were the default inscribers, which means now that we have to have this set to stack size 1, which is fine because all of these have a, barrel down here to keep all of the inventory in. So it's not like it's a big deal. But the way these work, from what I've seen, is basically if job 1 is not full, it'll fill it. Job 2 is not full, it'll fill it, and then it just continuously go. It will not put like the printed silicone in job 3 while job 1 doesn't have it, but it has everything else. So these should work. We're just keeping it to stack size 1, so we basically can make 4 per operation in a sense. Sometimes it doesn't work out that way, but we at least get 1 or 2, and that makes it just a little bit faster. I also did that for the Mega Cells one as well. And then over here, I actually changed this system up a little bit. I basically duplicated the bottom and made this upper piece just for silicone, because silicone, of course, is used quite a lot because it's used with all of the recipes that are used here, right? They're used to make the final product. So having the ability to kind of separate those and have 4 individuals that will never be filled with silicone is a fantastic idea. So the 3 calculation, logic, and engineering are made down here. Well, silicone is done up there. Okay. Another thing, we have some stuff to do off camera, or I do at least, and that is going to be the power setup that I'm working on. And of course, I did get 300 more energizing rods. I did 600 actually because I don't know why. I wanted to see how fast it would craft. It ended up getting hung up on something, so I had to kind of force it a little bit. But we've got 90 of them left, so we've used a lot here, which this is 9 by 9. So if you wanted to do the math, let's see, 9 by 9 times 2. So that's 162 per one of these. So 162, 162, 162. So that's times 3. So that's 486 nitro engineering, or energizing, not engineering, energizing rods. And then however many's over here, which this is going to be our actual power, nitro, spirited crystals, energized steel, blazing crystals, all of that fun stuff. That's going to go here. I'm going to move all of it from our auto crafting area to down here, and this should basically allow for us to get everything power lickety split, right? It should be very, very quick. But I've been just kind of working on stuff a little bit off camera because really, you guys have seen me do it before, and I don't want to show too much of it because it's kind of boring. And of course, if you have questions, when I show it on camera, be like, hey, I did this. If you have questions, I am happy to answer them. So let's just quickly talk about what we're going to do in the next episode. So I want to make an induction matrix from Mekanism. An induction matrix is basically a giant battery. So what we have now with the applied flux cells just in a multi-block, it would allow for us to store a lot of power and also output a lot of power. So if we actually look at induction, we have different tiers, of course, because it's Mekanism. But the ultimate induction cell can give us per block 1.6 TFE, which I'm assuming that's trillion FE. Not 100% sure, but you guys can read what this actually does. And this we also need is the induction provider, which is the actual output rate. So the more we have of these, the more we can output of this, which right now 52.42 million FE. Which is a lot, but I want to be able to do more just in case, because of course we're going to get into the SBS multi-block after this. I want to teach this thing how to autocraft all these parts, and of course we've got a lot of the basic components. We would just need to get the actual, tiers, and then actually we also do need lithium dust. Kind of forget about this one every so often, but you need those with the induction provider. I don't know, do you need these with this as well? Okay, we do. So that's good. We can autocraft all of that. And then the same thing with the SBS multi-block. And of course, if you click on this and look at uses, you can do the induction matrix building block, which is pretty cool. So if you wanted to know how to do it, how much stuff you need, what you need, this is a good way to do it. And also you can, of course, create the width and height and all of that stuff. And you don't have to use structural glass. You could just use induction casings. Okay. So next thing is the SBS chamber. So this is the antimatter setup, right? This is where you use polonium to then convert it into antimatter using tons and tons of energy. And yeah, this will be a little bit more expensive, I think, because it is using polonium, plutonium, HDPE pellets. And let's see here. So the recipes aren't too bad, especially for the SBS ports. Of course, you need SBS casings and ultimate control circuits. But then you also need the supercharged coils, which aren't terrible. Lasers, copper ingots. Okay. And then structural glass. It looks like you can optionally use structural glass, which I'll probably... I don't think I have structural glass. I think I only have reactor glass in here, so that'll be something we'll have to auto-craft. But that's something for next episode. And what I was thinking is if we need to build another fusion reactor, we could probably put one here, or even here, and get that set up, because I'm pretty sure we're going to need a lot of power to do anything with antimatter. I know last time I tried it, I just did not have enough power. And we'll also probably have to turn on one of these reactors because we'll need the polonium to get antimatter, of course. So this reactor we'd want to turn on so we actually get polonium. And maybe we could convert that one to polonium as well, just because that would be better. But yeah, overall, that's just some ideas, right? So induction matrix, SBS casing, hopefully we'll start getting progression towards antimatter, because that is, of course, a quest in here. Once this thing starts loading, we can actually look here. So all the mods star. So here's the antimatter. We need 2 antimatter pellets, and then the gravitational modulating unit, which then goes into the wither compass. I think is what this is called. And it actually doesn't look like it's actually used here. So I'm not 100% sure why it's needing this. Oh, no, it's this one. It's like way over here. Okay, so I just didn't follow the arrow. So this is required here. Okay, that makes sense. So this goes all the way over here. I just kind of only saw the withering compass. But yeah, so this is telling us, of course, to make antimatter. Yeah, we have not done any of the quest line for Mekanism because it's very, very weird. Um, okay. Yeah, we'd have to get a heat generator, which we did not do in the beginning. I don't even know if this quest was here when we did this, but yeah. So this, we've done a lot of this stuff. We just have not marked 90% of this because it's all in a very, very strange orientation. So definitely we'll look at advanced mechanism. We may not complete all of the quest lines because the fact that we've updated packs and they've changed quest terminologies, added quests in between certain portions, just added full quest lines. Our main focus is this, and then maybe creative. And then I know I want to look at Draconic Evolution because that is a fantastic mod overall. And this is actually another power option if we wanted to go that route. But I think for now, we'll stick with Mechanism. And with that, we're going to wrap this one up here. If you guys did enjoy the video, please do leave a like and or subscribe. It makes me happy. I don't even want to like be like, oh, it makes the algorithm happy. No, it just makes me happy. And also, of course, I try and make content Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. Sometimes it doesn't work out. But overall, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for being here. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.